Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to update everybody on what I've done with the brewery. I'm getting there. I'm almost there. I was going to do some videos, as I went along, showing step by step, but I got kind of busy in other things and it just didn't flow. So I decided I'd get the plumbing all done and sink in and things like that, so I can show you how I put it into my basement, because I am not on town water. I am on I am on septic bed, so I have to pump the water up, and I had to bring it in from behind the back of the brewery here. So yeah, I thought I'd give you guys heads up and see what the progress has made so far. So let's take a look at it. So as you can see, the first thing here that you might notice is a brand new sink. Yes, I went and I splurged, and I decided that I would get myself a really big deep sink. So this sink is 24 by 24 wide and 14 inches deep. And I went and I got the power spray head up here as well for cleaning things off. And it's a really nice sink. I like it. It's got little side wings for draining here and here, which is great for when you're rinsing things off. You just let them sit here, and it really helps out a lot. It gives you more counter space. And I've got stainless table that I also ordered, is where I'm going to do all my brewing. So I got my claw hammer supply. That's what I brew on. And I don't usually use the claw hammer supply with the basket in it for doing the mashing. I actually prefer doing it the old way, and just mash here. And then I find it's easier for me, because a lot of times I do a 10 gallon, sometimes I'll push a 15-gallon brew out of this, because my claw hammer is a 20-gallon pot. And when you use the basket, it's very heavy when you have all that grain in there. 10 or 15 pounds of grain when it's wet is really heavy. So then you'd have to have, like I used to use over here, a pulley system, okay? And it was really hard to use. It was heavy. And when you'd lift it up and let it drain, it would take a while to kind of drain. So I went back to the old style here, and this is an old mash tun I bought at the very beginning when I started brewing. But what I'm going to do is, in the next few months, I'm going to upgrade to a stainless steel. This is a 10-gallon. I think I'll upgrade to a 15-gallon insulated stainless steel mash tun. That I think is the next thing I'm going to do, because I like the claw hammer. This is the thing I like about the claw hammer the best, is the brains of it, the brewing system itself. And it's all electric, so it has an electric heater in here that comes in and out, no problem with the tri-clamp for cleaning. It's pretty easy system to clean. It came with a pump, and it came with a bunch of these hoses. So I do like the claw hammer supply system a lot. I just kind of changed it around a little bit, and I think that those guys wouldn't have a problem with that, because they're all about being able to change things on your system, because this here can be used with any system. This is just a standard pot that they sell with it, that they add a couple connectors to, but it's a great system. I also have my spike fermenter here. That's a 15-gallon fermenter, and I like using that a lot because it's stainless steel. It's a lot easier to use. So it also has, that I bought separately with it, it has the chilling coil here. And I have a video on how to build this. That is a glycol chiller made out of an air conditioner. So there is videos on my channel explaining how to wire it and also how to build it. And it holds, I forget, it's about 4 or 5 gallons here of glycol. And it really pulls the temperature down on this system when I'm when it's fermenting, because when you ferment, you do create a bit of heat. So it keeps it dead on. And I can also crash it as well down to like 35 degrees. And it's actually a pressure vessel, so I can pressurize it up to like 15, 20 PSI or so. 15, you shouldn't really go higher than this. And you can actually carbonate it, so when I put it in my kegs, it's almost ready to go. But this is what I've been working on. So there's the sink. Another thing I did is the floors are all red now. I got to clean everything up. The walls have now been painted with a dovetail gray, which I really like. It has a tinge of red in it, which I like, that goes with the floor. And then what I also did is I tiled all around the floor and sealed it. so that if you ever brew at home, maybe your kitchen's a little bit different, you're trying not to piss off your wife or your significant other, not making a mess, but I can let water fall on the floor here, mop it up, and I don't have to worry about it. It's easy, clean up, mop up, no problem. The other thing I've done is I added these lights. I don't think that was in my last video. So these lights, pretty straightforward lights to put up. There's a small pot in the middle of them that had the other lights in there that were really, really dull. These here, I think it's like 6,000 lumens or something. And you can adjust, there's 3 levels to bright, kind of a warm, or a glow, I forget what it is. But I put it on the brightest setting, and they weren't that hard to put up. So yeah, so no further ado, I just want to show you that I have hot and cold water here. And I'm just going to now show you what I've done for the plumbing. So down here, I'm going to put a larger sump basin than this, but it's just basically a container. It has a sump pump in it with a float. So the drain just drops straight into it. And when the float says it's time to pump, it pumps straight up across here. There's a check valve right there, so when it shuts off, the water doesn't come all the way back, because if you follow this drain back through here into the junk pile back here, you can see where this goes up, and there's a valve. I'll explain that in a second. All the way up, this goes to here, all the way across, and I tied it in to right here into the drain of the house. So this then goes right down into where the septic bed ties in. So I did put a trap there, and the reason for that trap is you always want a trap to keep any kind of gases from your septic coming back this way. But a lot of you say, well, you're going to have water trapped all the way from here down through here and into here all the way to your check valve, which is true. So it makes its own trap, but check valves aren't always perfect. They can seep a little bit of water. And if I don't use this sink for maybe, let's say 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and this slowly leaks, then all this water will come out, and I could have sewer gases coming back. So that's what the trap is for. So to go back in here again to show you why I have this valve here, this is just an adjustment valve. So when the sump is running, it's a fast sump. I could have got a smaller one. It's a 1/3 horsepower with 1.5 inch output on it that I hooked up to. I could have actually gone to probably 1.25 inch for the ABS piping, but I didn't. And this container here, when I drain the sink, if it's completely full, the water coming in, even at the full amount of that sink pouring in here, isn't fast enough to drain through for this sump pump not to drain all the water out, cycle off, drain all the water off, cycle off. So you get continual cycles, which is harder on the motor. I mean, it probably doesn't make a difference for me because I'm not using this sink all the time, but I wanted it to run as long as I could. So by adjusting that valve over there, I can slow this pump down enough that when the water drains, it might cycle off maybe once, but it's not going to cycle off 4 or 5 times. So that was the reasoning behind that. I've now also plumbed. The water, of course, is all in, so it connects up behind the sink. There's my 2 shutoffs for my hot and cold. Came up through here, all the way along, up underneath here. Yeah, it's always fun going up in these areas. Across to here, and then I have tapped into right here where there's a, I believe it's a shower up above here for a bathroom. So that's where I've hooked up into there. So that's giving me my hot and cold water. So now let me give you a test of how the sink works in the drain. So now the drain is coming down, pouring into a little sump container, which I am going to get a larger one. You can see as the water comes in, there goes the float. The float is kicked on. And right now the water is pressing through here, up through all the pipes. You can probably hear it. It's draining through here and draining all down into the septic. So that now gives me a full working hot and cold sink down here that I never had before. and an open container, which I did this for one main reason, and one of my viewers, Chris, actually commented on it, that if you have a sump with a container in it and you have any kind of material sitting in there, it can really stink. And he's right. But what I'm doing is I have an open container, and it's going to be a lot of the water that's going to go down is going to be pretty fresh water. There might be a little bit of a material from brewing that might get in here, but I also have a clamp here that I can disconnect, and I can just pull this right out and rinse it out, and I don't have to worry about it. But this was the easiest way to do it. You can go by systems that are sealed, and I actually have that in my washerman here. Does have a system, but it's about $1,000 to buy it, and it's not really meant for any kind of a brewing application, and possibly hotter water than normal. But you can see now that the sump has shut off, and they still have a little bit of water draining down, because as it gets lower in the sink, it drains a little slower. But I'm fine with that for now. This is just so I got somewhere I can wash everything. This is really coming close to an end for me, getting this brewery ready to go. There goes the sump again. It's nice and quiet. You don't even notice that it's going on. So what I have to do now, one of the last things I got to do is I got to get power to this little fella here, and it is it's a good design because it is made. If you don't have making a brewer like me, this plug here is identical to an outlet if you had it by a dryer. 240 volt, single phase with a neutral, 30 amp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some conduit. I'm going to run it all the way along down here, beneath the back of the sink, through this wall. Come up the wall here, probably put a connector box here, and then I'll go just with regular wire up across here, some Romex, all the way along here, across to here, and then into this panel here. And I don't know if I explained this in one of my videos yet, but this here is a spa panel. So it is a 60 amp breaker. It also has a neutral in it, and it is for safety because I'm working with water. So a lot of you would say, well, if you can't put, like I'm going to put 30 amp from here to my brewer, and I'm going to be using number 10 gauge wire. And 10 gauge wire is good for up to 30 amps, but this is a 60 amp breaker. So the way I get away with it is bring my wire into here, and I've got my wire already in here that was from my older house. It's also 30 gauge, but it is going to be going into a 30 amp breaker. So if I have a 30 amp breaker in my panel and I have a 60 amp here, this becomes redundant, because if I get more than 30 amps drawing, no, this won't trip out, but this will. But this here is to save my life. So I'd rather go on that side of it. And the other reason I want the spa panel, because this only costs about $100. If you go and get a breaker for this panel here that is a GFI like this, you're looking at probably more like $200. The other thing is, in my old house, I did not have this style of, this is a square D, I believe, panel. I had a Federal Pioneer stab lock panel, which they no longer make. And I was looking online, because you can't get, the breakers are hard to get, and I wanted a 30 amp GFI breaker for the panel. It was almost $600. So no, thanks anyway. And it would have been a waste of money, because I moved and I wouldn't be able to use it in that panel. So guys, just wanted to give you a heads up of what's going on and all the things I've done. Oh yeah, I forgot I've also put my TV up here. So it's a wireless TV, so I can watch whatever I want when I'm brewing. Move this around, it's on a swivel. And yeah, it's coming along here. You see what this is in the back here, you wonder what that is. It's nothing to do with brewing. I also garden. So this year, I might start doing some gardening things on another channel, because I love to garden. Now that I have 14 acres, I'm going to be having lots of fruit and vegetables to grow this year. Yep, always have fun having myself lots of hobbies to do, but definitely getting close, guys. Definitely getting close. Starting to get excited. I can see the end of the tunnel. I can see the beer at the end of the tunnel, yes, I must say. So guys, thanks for watching my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't, and please comment on anything you see in the brewery, any questions you guys have. I like to help people out, and that's why I do my brew channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.